Hello, my name is Priscilla Green, and I reviewed a journal article called Inclusive Education for Students with Hearing Impairment in the Regular Secondary Schools in Northwest Region of Cameroon Initiatives and Challenges. It had three great authors who were three of the scientists who are researchers that helped find the information that was really informative not only for the everyday classroom, where it was inclusive with hearing impaired as well as non-hearing impaired students, but also just students in general. And once again, that makes it very informative. Now, the overview of the article, the authors of this article wanted to know if oral entry only is the only type of information presentation works good for maximum benefit of hearing impaired students. Now, in inclusion classroom, I should say, where students of all learning backgrounds are in the same room and learning together, of course, you know that using one type or one method of teaching for giving input isn't going to work. That's basic. We find that out after every study, after every research. We have to do more. Now, the scripture that I love most for this one, and is Matthew 13:13. It says, "This is why I speak to them in parables. Though seeing, they do not see; though hearing, they do not hear or understand." The student has a hearing impairment. They're not going to understand. They they have to be given the opportunity for something else, just like any other student in your classroom who maybe has a visual impairment, a learning disability, brain disorder, behavioral disorder. All of these things are just alike, and they must be approached in the correct manner. Now, I like using the word parable, of course, because parable can be a lesson too. Doesn't just have to be, what standard, what we say, okay, parable, we're going to just stick it with one definition. It's going to be, it's not just a moral, even though morals are highly, highly important, um, but also the moral of the lesson that we're teaching, the moral of life that we're teaching, to actually take advantage of students in the classroom and take advantage of the fact that you are an educator who consistently have a chance to improve your craft and your way of representing information and presenting it to the students in your classroom, whether they have any type of ability, because basically every child has something they have to be accounted for, every one of them. So always focus on giving multifaceted ways of presenting information so that you are making sure that no matter what learning style or learning ability that a person has in your classroom, they're given at least an inkling of a chance, a small chance to fix it. Now, the authors of this research, they did a lot of research with students of inclusion. They had, some deaf students or students that are deaf, and also some students that were not deaf. They used sign language. They used verbal communication. They used interpreters. And the cool thing about it is, like, they used the interpreters and the general education teacher as a way of also controlling behavior. So some students, okay, I can't hear what the teacher is actually saying, and I know this person up here is presenting information with the sign language, but I can also act out. I'll use that as my way of averting my attention to something else. And I like the fact that not only were they researching strategies to teach the students, but also strategies to teach the adults in the classroom. And that was awesome. And so that just leads right into my reaction. We're here to help. I love this article because it did give specific examples of what was the focus of each study and its results. It broke it down step for step. It gave us a table of what the information was, of what the research was, how it came to be, broke it down in different sections, so subheadings that gave you a clear understanding of what you can actually do as an educator in the classroom, even if you don't have students that are deaf. The implications to practice, of course, are just simply to use every action available and every action you can to reach all students in the classroom. It goes back to Matthew 13, where we're using so that if they can't see or if they can't hear they're not learning. If they're not hearing, they're not understanding. They're not learning. They're not comprehending with the information. If you're just putting it out there one step at a time, or putting it out there with one method and thinking that that includes everyone, that's just not even real for education at all. Now, my references, of course, were the authors of this article, but also our exceptional learners and introduction to special education, of course, and biblical.com, where Matthew 13 came about, where I actually was able to copy the exact verse and give you some more information of how I pretty much break it down, especially pertaining to this lesson. And hearing impairment is the first thing that came to my mind, was the one that can't hear, and finding where that is. Once again, my name is Priscilla Green. I thank you so much for listening to me, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend.